Hey all, Lawrence from Express Unity, and today we are going to continue our multiplayer survival game. So where I left off in the last video is basically just starting the connection with Photon, and that all works. So what I want to be doing now is, first off, we're going to be spawning a player just on just on a plane. After we get that done, I have a few assets here that I've made, and I will be giving these out for free. So the download link should be in the description, or I might also just chuck it in the Discord somewhere. But yeah, basically, we're gonna make something that'll switch between these two different terrains. The textures are a little bit weird, so you gotta throw these materials on them, but we'll do that a bit later. And then we're also gonna make something that'll basically randomly place these bits of land. And then after that, we're then going to make something that'll place trees and rocks onto these bits of land. But one step at a time. First thing we want to do is spawn a player in our scene. So just to start things off, let's go ahead and create a 3D object, which is going to be a plane. And just for now, let's just chuck that material on it and let's center it. Okay, so we want to start making a player. Now, I haven't really gone into and found a model quite yet. So for now, we're just going to be using some basic shapes, but I will get around to it. Not a spear, sphere, not spear. So we want to just create a, I don't know, capsule, your usual default player object, and let's just go ahead and give it a new layer. This layer is going to be player, and we're also going to give it the player tag. So before we start any networking with spawning him in, let's just quickly create a just some basic controller for him. So I'm just going to create a new folder called player inside our networking folder, and this is going to be our player controller. Great. So that's centered. What I'm going to do now is drag the camera onto the capsule, going to right click, and we're just going to reset its position, and we're just going to move it so that it's basically like the head of the player. So another thing we're going to slightly fix is if we look down, currently in the player, that's not really what we want. So we do want to just move it maybe out a little. If we look down, so good. We could also adjust the near focus. Let's just make it 0.1. But that's all good. That'll be fine. Alright, so now that we've got our main basically player set up, we're gonna have to start populating our code. I'm just gonna quickly rename that to player, and let's jump into it. Alright, so nothing too complicated, just very basic stuff. So, geez, I can't type today. Oh, 10 out of 10. So we want to be using the photon, and we're also going to be wanting to use the photon dot pun, and we want to be inheriting from on a behavior pun. And this will now give us access to the photon view, which is going to be very handy. So for both the void start and void update, we want the if photon view dot is mine, and we will just chuck them both in there. Actually, we'll also make an else, and we'll chuck them both there. Alrighty. So the first thing I want to do is grab a copy of our camera. So I'm just going to create a game object. I'm going to call it cam. And then on isMine, I'm going to say cam equals transform dot get child, and that child is going to be 0, because for now that is just what the index of the game object is. Okay, so another thing we want to do is let's just chuck on a rigid body. And we'll just freeze the position and rotation. Sorry, not position, just the rotation. Collision detection, let's just make that continuous for now. And we also want to chuck on a physics material. So I'm just going to create a new folder. I'm just going to call it physics materials. And I'm going to create a new one that is just called none, and basically all of these settings here for friction and bounce will be set to 0, and I'm going to just drag that into the Capsule Collider. The reason why I do this is it just ends up giving us a nicer feel when we're using the rigid body system as kind of our main engine to drive movement of our player. Alrighty, so now that we have that, we also want to include the rigid body. So we'll go body, and then we'll say body equals get component rigid body. Alrighty, that is fantastic. So now in update, let's just make some kind of quick movement. So we can do this by just saying use just basic P code, I guess. Yeah. So input.get key, and then this is going to be key code dot. We'll go W. And then we'll just change all these around. So W, S, A, and D. Then for W, we want to say body dot add relative force. We're just going to do something like vector 3 dot chords. And then we have our speed. Now I'm just going to set it to 5 times time dot delta time. Alrighty, so set over here as well. So I'm also going to just make a public float, and I'm just going to call it speed and default to 5. Okay, so now we want to get it on our S. So this is just going to be dot back. And now for our A key, this is going to be dot left. And for our D key, this is going to be dot right. So if I did everything correctly there, that should work for us. It probably won't work yet because we need to instantiate the player now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to now make a prefab of the... Do I have prefabs folder? Yes, I do. So this is all kind of stuff for my UI and stuff that I've already done with the playfab. Again, if you guys don't know how to set the whole playfab side of things up, there are a few tutorials already on my channel that you can follow that should help you out. Alright, so I'm just going to... Actually, you know what? It's not the prefabs folder that we want. We want to put it in our resources folder. Like so. And then we are just going to disable it. Alrighty, so let's go and add a button to our canvas. So again, inside our holder, let's create a button, and I'm just going to replace it with a with the UI that I've already made. And sliced, I think sliced is okay. Let me just quickly look at these sprites here. Right, editor. Yeah, it is set. Huh. I wonder why it's acting like that. Alright, anyway, we're just gonna deal with it. Actually, no, now it's annoying me. Why is it giving it the weird shape that it's giving it? Okay, that's looking a bit better. See, yeah, looks terrible, but that'll do. No big deal. Alright, so we are just going to call this join random, and we're just gonna drag our font that we want to use. Going to make the font kind of light grayish, and my favorite component, an outline. Alrighty, so we're gonna name this button join random and just center it for now. Okay, so let's go into our photon manager. Let's create a public void join or create room. So the first thing this is going to do is it's going to say photon network dot join join random room. So we'll do that. And then can pass a few things into it, but for now we're just going to join any random room. A bit later on we might give it some parameters, but yeah, that will be fine. Now what we want to do, if it can't join, we want to basically catch that error, and so we'll get our public override void, and we want to have our on join random. I can't quite remember what it's called. On join random failed. I think that's what it is. So we're going to use that. So if it has failed, next thing we want to do is create. We'll go photon network dot create room, and this is going to have our room name and then a few of our room options. So the first thing we want to do is create a new room options. Let me see. Oh, we need to also be using photon dot real time. Then we should be able to get our room options. I'm just going to call it RO and then equals to new room options. Alright, so RO dot max players, we'll set that to 10. We'll say RO dot is open, set that to true. That is visible, also want to set that to true as well. As for the room name, let's just go create a new random.range, and we'll go from 0 to some absurdly large number. And then over here we'll just say default hashtag and then plus our ID, so that there shouldn't there would rarely be a room that is the same name. And then we'll also just pass in our room options. And that should be all we need. So now that we have created a room or joined a room, we want to go ahead and use the public override void on joined room. And then this is where we're going to instantiate our player. So just to quickly remind myself, what did I call it? I did call it player. So on join room, we are going to photon network.instantiate, and we are going to instantiate our player at a new vector. We'll say 0, the height will be 2 and 0 just for now, and then quaternium.identity, and then byte group, just do 0 for now. And I'm also going to say game object at the start, player equals the new instantiated object, just in case we want to manipulate it later on. Alrighty, so this whole code should now allow us to join or create a room. If the join fails and there's no rooms currently available to join, it should create a new random room. So the way I kind of want this to work, unlike the other type multiplayer games, is I don't want there to be a limit. Basically, I just want someone to be able to hop in, they can play the game, and then other people can join at random. So yeah, okay. So with our button text on the onClick event, we've got to wait for Unity to compile. Alright, so let's drag our photon manager on the onClick event, and then we want to call join or create. Is that what it is? Join or create room, yes. Alrighty, so just quickly take a look at what I want plain. We're just gonna create another camera for now. Where is it? Camera. And when we join, we should just automatically sort the new camera. So we are now connected. If we join, oop. Oh, yep, that's right. So we never actually added any kind of photon view to our player. So we want to add our photon view. And for now, we also want to add a rigid body view, because that's what we're using to sync. That should be fine, just dragging that in there. So let's just go ahead and apply the changes, disable the player, and now we should be able to spawn in once we click that button. We gotta wait for photon to connect first. Connected to master, join random. So we have spawned in. We are, but it didn't change our camera. So that we, oops, wanted. Oh, I never added the player script player either. So that is something that we are going to do. Is add component, and we want to add the player controller. I think that's our one. Yes, it is. Okay, one more test. Let's apply it. Join random. Oh, we connected. Okay, I stuffed that up by clicking too early. So wait for it to connect, and then join. And we'll just have to disable our secondary camera, and we should be able to move around. Now let's just increase the speed. Okay, well, bit of fixing to do, I guess. But we are spawning in. What we do want is to disable this basically the lobby camera. We'll call this lobby cam. So let's go and in the photon manager create a new public game object array, and we'll call this online objects. And so excuse me, what we can do now is basically say unconnected to master for each game object in online object. And we just want to say object.set active to true. And now in the say public game object array, we'll say on room, call it started. We'll say disable on room started. And then over here where we join a room, the player spawns, we'll say for each game object in disable on room started. And here we'll say object dot set active to false. So now in our photon manager, what I want to do is drag our button in the online objects and start that off as being disabled. And then for our disable on room started, we are going to drag our button on there as well. You should see our button is off. When we're connected, it puts it back on. Then once we join a room, the button disappears. So that is a fantastic start. The next thing we want is, we also want to drag our lobby camera into the disable on room start as well. So we'll try this again. Once we are fully connected, the camera should switch over to our player's view. There it is. So again, the key codes for the movement aren't quite working, so we'll just go into the player controller and find out what's happening. Just gonna debug.log. It should be working. Could be that I don't have enough force on it. Actually, I think that is why. So over here, we want to add the force mode of impulse, and I think that should fix our problem. Let's join, switch. Okay, now we are moving. That's pretty good. Awesome. Next thing we want to work on is our camera. So we want to get our float mouse x equals input dot get axis, and we want to get our mouse x. Next thing we want is our float mouse y. Same thing, except this time it is going to be our y position for the mouse. Okay, so basically we want to rotate the game object, and then we want to rotate the mouse, the camera, sorry, y-axis. So what we're going to do is basically say transform dot rotate, sorry, and we should be able to just say new vector, and I think it is the X that we want to rotate, so mouse X, and the rest can be 0, I think. And then we want to do cam.transform.rotate, and we want to do new vector 3, and I think it's the Z for the camera. Memory serves me correctly. We'll find out soon anyway. So if we play this and join, and okay, the other way around. So let's just start off with fixing one. So first rotate is our transform. So let's just play this, figure out what we're currently rotating in. Okay, so we're currently looking up and down for whatever reason. So I think I've done this the other way around. So that should go there. All right. Yep. Alright, wrong again. So this should be there, which means now the camera should be in the right spot, I think. Maybe? Alright, now looking the correct way, but where the camera isn't tilting, so this needs to go over here to the first one, and now I believe we should be working. And look up and down. Only problem is the mouse, the camera is inverted, so we'll just make that a negative. And that is good. We should now have a simple player controller that is networked. We'll just join random. Let's just move around. Moving works. Oop, we're about to fall, and that's GG. Game over. Alrighty. So, really quick, just to make sure everything does work, I'm just gonna build and run, and I'm gonna make a package called oops, and we'll just put it in there. Takes a good while for it to, there it is, for it to start up. Alrighty, so we'll make it windowed, we'll make it a somewhat small screen, and we'll open 2 instances of it up. Oh no, that's not good. Okay. Let me just quickly sort these scenes. The login or register scene that needs to go first. But now we should be good. Oh, I wish it would be faster at compiling. Alright, let's try this again. For some reason, graphics quality is very low, but that's fine. Okay, going random. Let's just move back a tad. Random. Oh, we have done a very silly mistake. So currently the camera swaps out when a new player is joined. That's because we need to start off our own camera as being disabled. And then what we're going to need to do is just make the camera a public variable, and then over here we want to just say cam.setActive, and we'll make that true. And that should stop our camera from swapping out. So we'll just chuck that reference there, and let's apply. And let's quickly save, and hopefully for the final test, this will work. Alrighty. Okay, let's try this again. We'll move back on this player, and now we shouldn't have our camera swap out. There it is. We can look at that player. We can move back left and right, and this one move over here behind him, swap to the other player, and there we go. All the movement is synchronized on both players. Hooray! Alrighty, so again, this is kind of a video that I have already done in the previous tutorials, but basically this is the same stuff to set up any basic multiplayer game. So from this point onward, things are going to be a little bit different. So what we're going to be working on in our next video is spawning our random base for our map, and then we are going to be randomly spawning our land masses, and then we are going to be making some kind of system that will basically check a point before it places a tree or a rock, and it will make sure that it is currently spawning above this landmass. So before I leave off this video, I also want to say that it has been so good lately with you guys just being so supportive to the channel. I don't think I actually ever made like a 500 sub thank you video just because I've been so busy. So I just want to apologize for that. So I just wanted to thank you all now for sticking around and supporting me, even though the last couple of, actually I think it's only been a month, but like the last month I haven't really been uploading all that much, but you guys have still stuck around, still supported me, and it is just fantastic. So like I said, all these assets that I'm making for this tutorial, I'm going to chuck on either Discord or YouTube. Either way, you should be able to claim the assets. Honestly, I don't really care what you do with them. If you want to make a game and sell the game, that's using them, that's up to you. Honestly, making this entire little set took me around 15 minutes, so they're not really that high quality assets, but if you wanted to use them, go for it. And on top of that, because I do want to start doing YouTube more, I have actually started up a Patreon. Now, it is not a requirement for you to back me or anything. I just wanted to let you know that any donation or pledge helps me a great deal. Basically, I want to slow down my current workload, and I want to try and focus on my YouTube channel as much as possible. And well, really the only way for me to do that is to make some kind of income from the channel. So thank you again. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Leave a like, comment what you want to see, and if you guys are currently enjoying the survival series, like I said, we're not really into any new stuff just yet, but the next video we will be. Alrighty, so I'll leave it there, and I'll see you guys in the next video.